The Tonight Show studio was buzzing. Cameras ready, audience hyped, and Jimmy Fallon in his usual rhythm. Jennifer Lawrence, the guest everyone had been waiting for, entered with her trademark smile. But tonight, something was different. Her laughter sounded hollow. Her posture tensed as the interview progressed. Jimmy made a series of jokes that, while common for late night, began to press on personal territory references to past mistakes. An X and a recent tabloid headline. Jennifer forced a few laughs, then fell silent. Her eyes didn't match her smile. There was a pause awkward, too long for TV. Then, unexpectedly, Jennifer stood up. "You know what? I thought this would be different," she said, her voice tight. And just like that, she walked off set. Gasps echoed. Cameras cut. Confusion took over. What followed wasn't scripted, wasn't PR friendly. The audience was stunned. The crew looked frozen. And behind the curtain, away from the spotlight, Jennifer leaned against the wall, breathing hard, not angry, not dramatic. Just done. Jennifer sat backstage, her phone buzzing nonstop. Her publicist rushed in, face pale. "You can't just walk off," she whispered urgently. But Jennifer didn't answer. Her hands were shaking not from anger, but from something deeper, exhaustion. The kind you don't fix with a nap. Fallon stayed on stage, trying to recover with humor, but it felt off. Something in the air had shifted. The audience sensed it too. Jennifer had always played along with the game, smiling on cue. Until now, back in her dressing room, she finally spoke. "I'm tired of being edited down to a joke," she said quietly, to no one in particular. Cameras could cut a laugh from silence, make a joke from pain. And she'd let them for years. But tonight, live. And raw, she had said, enough. And while that choice would set fire to headlines, it also unlocked something she hadn't felt in years. Honesty. By the next morning, the internet was ablaze. Jennifer Lawrence storms off Fallon show. Diva moment or breakdown? The tabloids thrived on ambiguity. Video clips were everywhere, looped out of context. Her facial expressions, slowed down, exaggerated, her team scrambled to shape a narrative. "Say you were joking, say it was scripted," her manager pleaded. But Jennifer refused. "Let them say what they want," she said flatly. She wasn't going to lie to shrink the mess. Calls poured in, producers, journalists, even other actors. Some defended her, others distanced themselves. The industry loves boldness. Until it's inconvenient. Privately, she went quiet. No statements, no tweets, just silence. And that silence spoke louder than anything she could have said on TV. 3 days later, Jennifer received the call she'd been avoiding her mother. "I saw the video," her mom said, her voice calm but heavy. "You okay?" For a second, Jennifer almost broke. Not because of guilt, but because of relief. Someone cared, not for the PR version of her, but for her. They talked for an hour, not about Fallon, not about damage control, just about her childhood, her love for acting, the first play she ever did in a school gym. It grounded her, made her remember why she started. After hanging up, she stared at her reflection. For the first time in a while, she didn't see a brand. She saw a woman who'd been performing too much for too long. She wasn't angry at Fallon, not even the media. She was angry at herself for not stopping sooner. A week later, Jennifer walked into a cafe near her apartment, hoodie up, sunglasses on. The barista didn't recognize her or pretended not to, and she appreciated the quiet. Halfway through her coffee, a stranger approached. Middle-aged, thoughtful eyes. "Sorry," he said. "I just wanted to say thank you for walking off." She blinked. "Excuse me? I'm a teacher. I show young women how to assert boundaries." "You just gave them an example." I couldn't teach in a classroom. That moment stayed with her. Not the headlines, not the memes. Just that. A stranger, a sentence, and a sense of impact she hadn't expected. Fallon broke his silence. On his next show, he addressed the incident. Look, Jennifer and I have always had a good relationship, he began, trying to sound sincere. But something felt rehearsed. He admitted the jokes went too far. If she felt disrespected, that's on me. Applause followed, but online reactions were mixed. Some praised him. Others called it a soft apology. Jennifer watched the clip late at night, alone. She didn't feel anger, just a hollow sort of detachment. It was a performance. Just like always. Still, she sent him a message. I'm not mad. I just couldn't keep pretending. He didn't reply. And that was okay. Out of nowhere, she received a handwritten letter rare in her world. It was from Ava, a friend from Kentucky she hadn't seen in years. They had done community theater together. At 14. Ava wrote, I saw your clip. I recognized that look in your eyes. You used to get it when you hated a scene, but had to finish it anyway. Jennifer laughed softly. Ava remembered things no one else did. She wasn't Jennifer the star in those memories. Just Jen, a kid who loved telling stories, not being one. She held the letter for a long time. That night, she didn't feel alone. Studio execs began to grow nervous. Jennifer had 3 films in the pipeline. Would her public moment affect box office sales? She was called into a private meeting with producers. We support your autonomy. One said, but we'd like you to appear on Late Night again to clarify things. Clarify what? That she was human? That she'd had enough? Jennifer refused, gently but firmly. If I have to sell myself to sell a movie, maybe the movie's not good enough. The room went quiet, respect mixed with fear. Not because she was wrong, but because she wasn't afraid to say it. Jennifer began journaling again. Not for a memoir, just for herself. She wrote about pressure, about laughter that doesn't feel true, about how performing for a living shouldn't mean performing. A personality. She started reading old plays. Quiet ones. Characters who break down softly instead of loudly. She missed roles that didn't need explosions or punchlines. Her agent called. There's a small indie film. Budget's tiny. But the script, it's raw. Jennifer read it. Twice in one sitting. It wasn't glamorous, but it was real. And that, finally, felt like the right kind of performance. Months later, filming began in a quiet town in Oregon. No paparazzi, no trailers with 10 mirrors. Just a single director, a skeletal crew, and a script that asked her to simply be. The first scene was silent, just her and the camera. No makeup, no applause. She looked into the lens and felt something. Shift. She wasn't acting. She was living. The film wouldn't win Oscars, maybe not even make money. But Jennifer didn't care. For the first time in years, she wasn't playing a version of herself. She was telling a story she believed in. And that, at last, was enough. During filming breaks, Jennifer would walk through the small Oregon town. No one asked for photos. Most didn't even recognize her. She wore simple clothes, no makeup, and smiled easily. One morning at a diner, a waitress handed her the check with a note on the back. You don't look like her. You look better like someone breathing. Jennifer teared up quietly. That one sentence captured everything she'd lost in the spotlight and everything she was now regaining. For the first time in years, she wasn't Jennifer Lawrence, the celebrity. She was just Jen, and it felt like coming home. Out of the blue, a message appeared in her inbox. Jimmy Fallon. Just one line. I get it now. There was no signature. No emojis, no PR gloss. Just those 4 words. Jennifer read it twice, then closed her phone. She didn't need more. It wasn't about being forgiven or forgiving. It was about being understood. Even briefly, she didn't reply. Not because she was angry, but because nothing else needed to be said. Some bridges don't need rebuilding, just a quiet acknowledgement from both sides. The indie film wrapped quietly. No red carpet, no interviews. Just a digital release on a small streaming service. But word spread. Viewers described her performance as unfiltered, aching, true. People said they forgot she was famous, that she felt like someone they knew, and that, to Jennifer, was the highest compliment she could receive. Not to be admired, not to be followed. To be seen. After the film, Jennifer was invited to speak at a university media symposium, not as a celebrity, but as a woman who had chosen vulnerability over brand. She hesitated. But something inside her said yes. On stage, she didn't read a speech. She told a story about the night she walked off, about what led up to it, and about what came after. The room was silent, not because they were shocked, but because they recognized the truth in her words. And truth, when spoken plainly, doesn't need to shout. One weekend, she returned to her first LA apartment. The building hadn't changed much. She asked the manager if she could walk through. He agreed. Inside, memories flooded back her. First callback, instant ramen dinners, breakdowns over auditions that never called back. She sat on the floor where her old mattress used to be and smiled. I thought I had to become someone else to succeed, she whispered. Now she knew. Becoming herself again had been the real success. A gossip magazine published a headline. Jennifer Lawrence. Is the star fading? She saw it at a grocery store. Years ago, it would have ruined her day. Now she just chuckled and bought strawberries. A younger cashier whispered, I loved your indie film. It made me cry. Jennifer smiled. That meant more than any front-page story. Not fame, but reach, not performance. But presence. Let the tabloids call it fading. She was finally shining in a way they couldn't measure. Luke, the director of the indie film, sent her a photo. A group of teenage girls at a community screening in a small town in France. The girls were crying, hugging. One held a sign. I saw myself. Jennifer saved the photo in a folder labeled Why I Keep Going, because that was the goal now, not applause. Not trending. Connection. Quiet, human, lasting connection. At a small dinner with old friends, someone raised a toast. To Jen, for finally writing her own script. Everyone clinked glasses, and she smiled, genuinely, without deflecting. To no longer playing characters off camera, she added. It was the kind of moment she used to perform. Now she lived it. And in that moment, she made a silent promise. I won't go back. Not to who I was. Not to the game. The industry hadn't changed. But she had. Months later, Jennifer was offered a major role. A studio film. Big budget. Awards buzz. But the script felt empty. She turned it down. Not out of rebellion, but clarity. Instead, she began writing. A screenplay. Personal. Honest. No high concept. Just people, pain, and persistence. She would produce it herself. No image consultants. No test screenings. This time, she wouldn't be playing a part. She'd be telling the truth. One night, Jennifer stood in her living room. No cameras. No interviews. Just the soft hum of silence. She opened the first draft of her script and reread the last line. She didn't disappear. She stepped back so she could finally arrive. She closed her laptop and turned off the light. She wasn't walking away from the spotlight. She had simply stopped letting it blind her. Jennifer stared at the script. She'd been writing for weeks. The structure held, but something felt fragile. Doubt crept in. Is this story enough? Am I enough to tell it? She emailed the draft to Luke, the indie director. No explanation, just, let me know if it's real. He replied 2 days later. Just one line. It hurts in the right places. And that was all she needed. Not praise, not notes. Just confirmation that the story reached where it needed to reach. An independent production company offered to help fund the film. They were small but passionate. We won't reshape it, they promised. We believe in it the way it is. Jennifer hesitated. It was everything she had asked for, and yet terrifying. With no studio safety net, the risk was hers. But that also meant the soul of the film was hers too. She signed the deal, hand shaking slightly. Not from fear, but from the knowledge that this time, what succeeded or failed would truly be hers. Casting the lead opposite her was intimate. She didn't want stars. She wanted truth. Dozens of auditions passed, polished and empty. Then came Aria, a 27-year-old theater actress with trembling hands and eyes that held storms. She stumbled through her lines, but there was something raw, unperformed. After the reading, Jennifer said, "That wasn't perfect." Aria's face dropped. "I'm sorry," Jennifer smiled. "That's why it was perfect. You're in." The first day on set, Jennifer felt something strange. Calm. Number. Red carpet, no trailer, no entourage. Just quiet collaboration. They filmed in a borrowed house. The scene was simple: 2 women sitting on a porch, saying everything without saying much. After the take, the sound guy whispered, "I forgot I was working. It felt like I was eavesdropping." Jennifer smiled. That's what she wanted: real moments, not cinematic magic. Something people could feel in their bones. Midway through filming, Jennifer felt one scene wasn't working. She'd written it from anger, not clarity. That night, she stayed up rewriting it, not to make it sharper, but softer. When they filmed the new version, Aria broke down for real. After the scene, she hugged Jennifer tightly and whispered, "Thank you for letting her be vulnerable." Jennifer realized something. She hadn't just written a character. She had written herself, and then let her breathe. And it was healing, in ways she didn't know she needed. Despite her efforts to stay under the radar, word of the project leaked. Headlines resurfaced. Jennifer Lawrence's strange comeback. Art film or vanity project? Her team panicked. We should control the narrative, someone said. Jennifer didn't respond. She simply went back to set the next day. The film wasn't a comeback. It wasn't a statement. It was a story that needed to be told. And that didn't need headlines. Just honesty. Aria's performance began to shine. The crew noticed. Quietly, people started saying, "She's not acting. She's revealing." Jennifer watched her with awe. This wasn't star-making. This was soul-sharing. During one particularly difficult scene, Aria turned to Jennifer and said, "This role is saving me." Jennifer nodded. "Me too." It was no longer just a film. It was a mirror. And everyone involved was slowly being transformed by what they saw in it. A fan letter arrived from Kentucky, postmarked from her hometown. It was from a high school girl who'd heard about the film through a local newspaper. "I used to want to be famous," the letter read. "Now I just want to be honest. Thanks for showing the difference." Jennifer folded the letter gently, slid it into her journal, and whispered to no one, "That's it. That's the reason." Near the end of filming, there was one scene left. Jennifer's monologue. One camera. One shot. The room was silent. She spoke slowly, her voice barely above a whisper. There were no tears, no dramatic pauses. Just a woman explaining what it's like to forget who you are. When she finished, no one said cut. They just stood there. The director finally whispered, "We got it." And Jennifer exhaled, tears falling not from the scene, but from the years behind it, The last day of shooting came with no champagne, no applause, just hugs, quiet tears, and a sense that something rare had just happened. Jennifer stood in the empty room after the crew left. She looked around, took a deep breath, and smiled. She had told the story, the way she wanted, with truth, not polish, with people, not product. And for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel watched. She felt seen. The film's first screening was at a small indie festival. Jennifer sat in the back row, heart pounding. No red carpet, no flashing cameras. Just a dark room filled with strangers. As the credits rolled, the audience sat silent, then slowly, a wave of applause. Not loud or showy, honest, quiet, and sustained. Afterward, a woman approached Jennifer with tears in her eyes. "You made me feel like I'm not alone." Jennifer nodded, voice barely a whisper. "That's why I did it." Reviews came in. Some praised the raw honesty. Others called it too slow, niche, or unpolished. Jennifer read them all, not hiding from criticism, but holding on to the ones that mattered. One review ended with, "A brave, fragile return to what acting is supposed to be." It wasn't a blockbuster review, but it was enough, because it recognized the truth behind the film. Surprisingly, some of Hollywood's biggest names quietly reached out. Messages of support, admiration, and sometimes apology. Jennifer didn't respond to most. But one email stood out, from an actress she had once admired, who wrote, "Thank you for reminding us what it means to be real." It felt like a passing of the torch, not to fame, but to courage. Months later, Jennifer heard from a drama teacher in a small town. They'd shown her film to their class, and students had opened up about their struggles. The teacher called it a rare gift. Jennifer realized her film wasn't changing the industry. It was changing individual lives, and that was the kind of success she craved. Back home in Kentucky, her family had watched the film privately. Her mother called her one evening, voice choked with pride. "You're not just a star on screen. You're our daughter." Jennifer smiled through tears, feeling the warmth she'd missed during years of spotlight and scrutiny. Home wasn't a place anymore. It was a feeling she carried inside. Jennifer started mentoring young actors who struggled with the same pressures she knew too well. She didn't teach fame or technique. She taught resilience, vulnerability, honesty. She told them, "You don't have to lose yourself to be seen." And for once, her words weren't a performance. Inspired by mentoring, Jennifer began a new screenplay. This time, about the messy, complicated lives of people behind the scenes, those who don't get credits or applause. She wrote with empathy, humor, and tenderness. It was her way of giving voice to the invisible. The film toured the festival circuit, drawing more intimate audiences. Q&A sessions felt less like press junkets and more like conversations. People shared their own stories of struggle, fear, and hope. Jennifer realized the film was no longer just hers. It belonged to everyone who saw themselves in it. An old interviewer from a major magazine reached out for a retrospective. Jennifer agreed. But this time on her terms. She answered honestly about her breakdown, her walk-off, and her rebirth, not as a celebrity, but as a woman reclaiming her story. Her words resonated more than any scripted interview ever had. Jennifer declined big studio offers, choosing instead to work on projects that felt authentic. Her public appearances became rarer, but when she spoke, people listened. She wasn't the star anymore. She was herself. And that was her greatest role. Yet Jennifer began working with a young indie director she admired for his authenticity. They wanted to create a film about the pressures of social media fame, a story about generations both connected and lost. During their meetings, Jennifer realized how much she'd grown. She no longer feared exposing her vulnerabilities. Instead, She used them as creative fuel. It was a fresh start, not just for her, but for how she would tell stories moving forward. On set, Jennifer befriended Maya, a young production assistant. With dreams and anxieties of her own, Maya shared stories about her struggles with anxiety and the pressure to be perfect. For the first time, Jennifer felt she could mentor not by teaching, but by listening and sharing her own experience. During filming, Jennifer quietly joined a demonstration, supporting film crew workers who often went unnoticed. Her presence wasn't publicized, but those there felt the power of her silent solidarity. She knew her fight wasn't just in the spotlight, it was in standing with the invisible. Backbone of the industry. Aria sent Jennifer an emotional letter after filming ended, explaining how the role transformed her view of herself and the craft. Jennifer reread the letter several times, feeling the weight and beauty of what they had created together. More than a film, they'd built a bridge between two women who needed to find each other. An unexpected visit to her old apartment stirred painful memories, but also strength. Jennifer walked through the empty rooms, reflecting on the journey from insecure young woman to the person she was becoming. She understood that despite the hardships, every step was an essential part of her story. The film began being used in community programs to spark conversations about mental health and social pressure. Jennifer participated in local discussions, focusing more on listening than speaking. She realized her mission wasn't to change the world at once, but to open spaces where people felt less alone. At a small festival, Jennifer received an award for contribution to authentic art. She took the stage without a script, thanked everyone sincerely, and dedicated the honor to those who fight daily to be true to themselves. It was recognition she never sought, but deep down knew she deserved. Balancing her personal life and career remained challenging. Jennifer sought simple moments, coffee with friends, quiet walks in the park, reading without rush. She learned success wasn't just career milestones, but the quality of the life she built. Media attention changed focus. Now, they asked about her creative process and industry views. Jennifer answered honestly, avoiding the traps of glamour and gossip. She wanted her story to inspire reflection, not just curiosity. In a quiet moment, Jennifer recognized how much she had changed. She was no longer a prisoner of fame or of herself. She was a woman who found strength in vulnerability and power in authenticity. For the first time, she felt at peace. Jennifer gave a final interview to a literary magazine, not to promote a film, but to share her journey. She spoke about pain, rebirth, and the power of being truly seen. Her words were simple, unadorned, a call for everyone to find their own truth. Renewed in confidence, Jennifer began working on a documentary about ordinary people and their untold stories. She wanted to give voice to those who never had a spotlight, expanding the impact of her own experience. It was a natural next step, turning listening into action. At a modest dinner with friends and family, Jennifer celebrated finishing the documentary. No flashbulbs, no headlines, just laughter, memories, and deep gratitude. She realized true success was found in genuine connection. One quiet night, Jennifer wrote a letter to her younger self, encouraged that girl to endure, to forgive herself, and never lose her authenticity. It was a hug across time, a promise that the journey was worth every step. Jennifer turned off the studio lights for the last time. The public stage no longer defined her. She had found her place, not under bright lights, but in the quiet, glowing truth of being herself. With that, the curtain fell, not on an end, but on a new beginning.